I digress. Maybe it's not a good idea to start grandstanding when the team that you cheer for takes a 3-2 lead in their Stanley Cup Playoff series. There is a world where in Game 6, Friday, May 1st at the Bell Center, there's a world where Tampa Bay wins and then they force a Game 7 back in Tampa. It's possible. But for right now, Montreal has the momentum, and I wanted to make this video to dance and celebrate using the tears and cries of Tampa Bay fans as our music. Because there was a post made on the Tampa Bay Lightning subreddit by Big Ol' Mud Pie that was screenshotted and posted onto the Habs subreddit. Yeah, this is pretty fun. In fact, let's actually just go over to the Tampa Bay Lightning sub itself, because not only are there some pretty funny graphics over there, but there happens to be a pretty interesting sort of response from Lightning fans. Let's see, where is that post? Is it even here? Oh, I don't even know if it's here. On the brink of elimination for a 4th straight season. Is that on here? Oh, it is. I am just blind. Take a look at this. Big Ol' Mud Pie said on the Lightning sub, Martin St. Louis was literally coaching his son's youth hockey team and somehow snagged an NHL coaching job despite having no prior experience. Xhekaj was literally working at Costco a couple of years ago because he couldn't crack a lineup. Texier was just playing in Europe because no NHL team would sign him. Dobes was literally a 3rd-string goalie last year and lost his net multiple times this season. Anderson is literally irrelevant in the regular season and randomly has dismantled Tampa. We have a top 3 goalie in the world, a top 3 player in the world, and arguably the top coach in the world, and we just played a game that looked like a preseason effort. The only players who have shown any semblance of being good in the regular season and playoffs is Hagel and Guentzel. Point, Vasilevsky, and Kucherov just can't perform in the playoffs anymore, and we can't get it done with only 2 players going and no depth scoring. Now, there is something to be said about the way in which this purple prose is put to light. St. Louis literally coaching his son's hockey team. Xhekaj literally working at Costco. Texier literally just playing in Europe. Dobes literally a 3rd-string goalie. Anderson literally irrelevant. Aside the fact that a lot of this stuff just isn't technically correct, it's kind of funny, man. Like, Lightning fans, or at least this one, they are not having a fun time. And you take a look at some of the replies. Nautica5400 said it's the same problem they had had before the Cup years. No depth scoring. When the Lightning finally had solid scoring third lines, they ended up rolling. I'm impressed they're hanging in there with pretty much 0 contribution from our secondary guys. This is the most sensible post in this thread. Remember when Tyler Johnson single-handedly won us a playoff game against the Isles? Ross Colton with the game winner for Cup number 2? We need something from those lines, and they're getting absolutely nothing. Another reply says, I think Vasilevsky's actually playing well. I actually would agree with that too. He's been tough to beat in this series. It's not over until it's over. I hate to say it, but that OT loss to Toronto pretty much being bullied for being the team to let Toronto pass the first round. We have lost all motivation to win a game and rely on 2 players to win a game, which one of them gets left out to dry. Now, if you switch over to the Montreal Canadiens sub, pure poetry it says, posted by Work Hard X Play Hard. They specifically screenshotted the Tampa Bay Lightning post. A Pee-wee coach, a Costco employee, a European, a 3rd-string goalie, and an irrelevant player walk into a series. Man, that's the setup for some funny Disney Mighty Ducks 5.0 revival type movie, if I do say so myself. They are literally on the literal brink of being literally eliminated from the playoffs, literally. Yeah, that's essentially the way you could look at it here. Another way to look at it is this. Martin St. Louis, he's a Hall of Famer. Arber Xhekaj was working at Costco because of the pandemic. No, Texier wasn't in Europe because he couldn't play in the NHL. And Dobes, he was a rookie, and rookies rarely get the starting job right away. LOL, hose mad. Yeah, Alexandre Texier mutually agreed to terminate his contract with his prior team and basically chose to come here when it was offered to him. He was always a good player, but he was playing with the wrong team. Happens all the time. He was miserable when he came here. He found something that made him happy, and a happy player usually plays better. Shocking. I love Texier, David STP said. He's not the best at anything, but he's good at everything. First line, power play, PK shootouts, and never makes big fumbles that cost a goal or big reversals. You can put him anywhere, and he'll be good. The fact that the Montreal Canadiens got this guy for free, he's flexible as hell in the lineup, his shootout abilities make up for Suzuki's lack of shootout ability, and he very clearly wants to be a part of this team, showing up for the Canadiens during the playoffs. Everything about Texier is a win. I don't know how people were complaining about his extension earlier in the season. Now, for Alexandre Texier in particular, I do remember, I want to be the guy to go out there and say that I was making videos on this YouTube channel talking about how Texier was going to be this underrated gem because of what he had showed off for, what was it? It was Team France at one of these World Championship tournaments, something like that. The Olympic Game qualifiers, he was doing pretty well. He also played decently well for Columbus during his first few NHL years. Also was a part of that team that swept the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2020, so there's a pretty big trivia fact for you there. It's not like we've been hammering that home throughout the course of this season, though. This guy ended up going to St. Louis, 1.8 games, not really all too great, 20 points in 43 Habs games, and now he's at 4 points in 5 playoff games, including a double point effort in game number 3. This guy has been solid. The line with him, Doc, and Zachary Bolduc has been clicking, and I'd say that for a Montreal Canadiens team that is unfortunately lacking a significant amount of offensive production from its first line, you need at least somebody to carry you forward into the next round, and that's essentially what we are seeing out of that line with Doc, Bolduc, Texier. I mean, Lane Hudson and Nick Suzuki, okay, I take it back. Suzuki, he's got 5 assists in 5 games, but honestly, I think anybody who's been watching the series, they could look at Nick Suzuki and say, yeah, that guy hasn't necessarily been as good, quote unquote, as we would have expected him to be. The Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky line, I know it wasn't together the entire time, but still, aside game 1 with Juraj Slavkovsky getting the hat trick, you are kind of waiting for these guys to explode. Maybe even in the same way that you're waiting for a Nikita Kucherov to explode in Tampa Bay. Although, knock on wood, let's pretend that that's not going to happen in game number 6. But with all that said, I do feel quite relieved and quite cathartic at the same time, seeing fans of other teams glaze the Montreal Canadiens in this way to the point where they're worried about their own squad. I understand that Tampa, it's not necessarily like, oh, we're talking about how bad it is to be a Lightning fan. Like, no, you won 2 back-to-back cups, settle down. But this is what happens when you win Stanley Cups and you make the finals 3 years in a row. At some point, you end up losing. Lost against Toronto, lost against... Who did they lose to last year? Oh, that's a great question. 2025 NHL playoff bracket. Let's just see here. Was it Florida? Oh, it was Florida. Yeah, it was Florida in the first round, right. 4-1, too. Yikes. Toronto, Florida. Could Montreal be next? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the poetry that is Lightning fans getting disappointed and antsy, talking about the Costco work in Arber Xhekaj, the European Texier, the third string Dobes, and everybody else in between. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.